button in the box, police right away. And I've never seen anything like that in Germany. Can you wear your mask, please? That's not your problem, that's my problem. And I'm a little disappointed with how Germany.
안녕하세요. 저는 독일에서 온 Francesca입니다.
I'm Francesca, I'm from Germany. I'm 20 years old and I'm a university student here in Korea.
제 전공이 영문학이에요. 영문학.
Usually German people go to travel after they graduate high school. So when I graduated high school, I wanted to travel, but my friends all went to Australia or America, and it sounded a bit boring to me. I wanted to go somewhere a little bit more far, and I got interested in Korea when I was in high school, so I wanted to just come to Korea one time, and I liked it so much that I kept coming back until I moved here. So today we will talk about what is more advanced in Germany or Korea. Security-wise, I think that for me, my hometown is known to be a very safe city in Germany. So I never feel scared when I go home after university or after work. But when I came to Korea, I noticed that maybe I should be a little concerned because there is no CCTV. Or last year, I lived in close to Ewha University, and there are like yellow boxes on the wall. So if you feel like someone is following you or you're scared, you can just press the button in the box and then they will send police right away. And I've never seen anything like that in Germany. And because Germany has so many laws about protecting one's personal information and identity, most places like stores or public places are not allowed to have CCTV at all. Especially before I worked at a cosmetic store, and I always thought if someone comes in and tries to rob me, then nobody's gonna know. I will be there alone with no CCTV. So it's something I have never noticed before I came to Korea, because Korea is crazy with CCTV. There's CCTV everywhere.
Have you ever pressed the button?
No. Only one time I felt scared in Korea when I went to Itaewon with my friends, and I went there on my own, and I was on the subway, and there was this guy who kept trying to talk to me and kept following me, but he was a foreigner, so I don't think it counts. But that was the only time, and besides that, I think Korea, especially Seoul, is quite safe. I think now it is not that big of an issue anymore, but a couple of years ago, like 2016, 17, 18, it was a big problem in Europe. We had a lot of attacks, and unfortunately many people died. It affected the life of the people. Of course, you were scared to go to places are just normal to go to, like going out with your friends or going to a concert. And I think now it's not that big of an issue anymore, but it's always something that can happen anytime. You never know when or where it will happen. Yeah. In Germany, because I was working during my semester break, I usually came home at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Here in Korea, it depends on what I do. Now, because of Corona, there's not too much you can do, but like the last years, usually I came home at 11-ish. This is a very, of course, important topic, but I'm a little disappointed with how Germany handled the situation. I think they did better than other countries, but when I came to Korea, everything was really strict. So even before, when I applied for my new visa, because I was in Germany during the semester break, so I had to apply for my new visa, and even the embassy in Germany, the Korean embassy, was really strict. I had to get a corona test done, and they had to get all of these documents proving I'm healthy. And when I arrived in Korea, it took me 2 hours to get through the security check, and I had to go to quarantine right away and stay at home. And there is an app, and they track everything, they track your symptoms. But in Germany, if you arrive in Germany now, you don't even have to take a corona test, or you don't have to stay in quarantine. They don't care what you do. And I think it's just the way Germany is handling the situation might not be the best way. They basically just let people decide what they want, because it is seen more like, oh, it is your issue what you want to do. So even though there are rules like, oh, you have to wear a mask when you're inside, but most people don't really follow the rules. There are many people who wear their mask like this, or don't wear a mask at all. And when you tell them to wear a mask, they get really upset. So one time I was at a restaurant in Germany, Germany 2 months ago, and the waiter was not wearing a mask and she was carrying my food. So I asked her, oh, can you wear your mask, please? And she didn't. She just said, that's not your problem, that's my problem. And I ended up, I was too scared to eat the food, because I mean, like, especially when you work somewhere, like at a restaurant, you should at least follow the rules. But German people feel like when you wear a mask, it means you're sick. So you wear a mask because you're sick. And of course, everybody thinks, oh, I don't have corona, so most people don't want to wear a mask. Usually like older people. Yes. So in the building I live, there are like right when you come in and in the elevator and outside of the elevator, it's everywhere. Yes, at first they were worried, but then the cases in Korea stopped increasing, but the cases in Europe increased a lot, and then I was worried about them. So I think my parents know that Korea is probably more of a safe country than Germany at the moment. When I first got it, I was really surprised. I told my boyfriend, what is this? Did I do something wrong? And it's really like high advanced Korean, so I didn't even know what it said. But I think it's really helpful. I can't imagine that something like this will ever happen in Germany, because as I said before, Germany has really strict rules about who can access your phone number or your personal data or your location. But in Korea, that's not a big issue. So I kind of like both. I like that Germany protects your personal information, but I also like that Korea tries to take care of you. I can tell you anything that's related to internet is really slow in German. I didn't even know that 5G existed before I came to Korea. We have like 3G or LTE, or sometimes we have 4G if we're lucky. But I live in a big city, so in the countryside, you're like, you can't even imagine having that. Yes, when you apply for something that's related to your visa, it's usually done within a few days. And even like the visa I got this time, because of Corona, it took 2 weeks, but usually it only takes 1 week to get your visa. In Germany, it takes like a month before you even get an appointment. But I think that's because Germany is really careful with all the paperwork, and I think that's a really good thing, because they really check everything. Germany is really detailed. I really like that about Germany. Yes, of course. That's something, of course, we have that in Germany too. That's nothing too special, but it's a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. In Korea, you can order even at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So that's really comfortable. Yeah, but we do have the same thing in Germany.
Which application do you usually use?
여기요, just it depends on what I want to eat, but everything is really nice. I think that the difference is that Germany protects the individual. So Germany protects one person, and Korea kind of focuses more on protecting everyone, like protecting the whole population. So I think that in case of something as big as a pandemic, it is really helpful to use this technique that Korea is using, because you can actually prevent like the spread of a virus, or you can prevent people from getting sick or even dying. So I think in this case, like the health of population, the overall health is more important than protecting the personal information of one. But I do agree, because with Germany, because once we start invading in this like personal space, there's like, oh, we already did it with the coronavirus, so we can do it again for something that might not be important. So I do really understand both sides. I think it's a really hard decision, and I think as long as there are strict rules about when it is possible for the government to get this personal information, it is okay. There are some things in Korea that are a little tough. The first thing is, I think on my first or second day in Korea, right away, some people came up to me and they were like, oh, we're doing this cultural exchange group, and we will wear hanbok and we will eat Korean food, and there are a lot of foreigners there, and all you have to do is come with us to our church or whatever. And I read articles on that online, so I refused, but they were really pushy, like, oh, why are you not coming? And this happens to me a lot. So usually when I go to Myeongdong or Dongdaemun, this happens a lot. It's a little scary, but it's not really too big of an issue, I think. So today we talked about the different development of Korea and Germany, and I hope you like this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up or in the comments, and see you next time.